So it's morning in Madeira, Portugal, and I just wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up so you don't get confused like me. There are two cable cars here. That is probably not the common knowledge. There is one cable car that comes up to this central position in the center of the island, and that comes to this station in front of us here. Okay, that's the first cable car. It comes up from the bottom. And that is the one that you will run into most of the time when you're looking at the internet as far as the cable car. You can see some boats down there in the port. That's where our boat came when we came here a while back. All right, now, that is probably not the cable car you want to ride. The cable car you actually want to ride is going to be the one over here that goes down into the tree-lined valley behind us. And that one goes down and visits the botanical garden. It's a trip down and a trip up, and the cost of the botanical garden included. And we will show you that in just one second. We'll go over here and get on board. Okay, so we have just boarded the cable car on our way down to the botanical garden here in Madeira, and there is quite a view out the front of this thing. These are small cable cars. They have two opposing bench seats in them, and through the station here they go really slow, but it picks up a bit when you go outside of the station. So we'll be there in just one second, and there is a commanding view of the Atlantic Ocean in the distance and of Madeira itself. The island has a really, really beautiful topography and an unusual mix of flora and fauna, a bunch of what look like evergreen trees, some cactus, grasses, really, really beautiful island. So I'm going to flip the camera around so we'll give you a view as we head down to the botanical garden here on the cable car.
Ooh.
And it is quite steep. Everything in Madeira is really steep. This is a rocky island, so check this out. Some real sweeping vistas here in the distance. The ocean and the rocky cliffs and some houses over here on the left side, built up on top. Quite a view. Over here to the right, you can see the ticket office up there at the top, as well as the little cafe that is up on the hill above where you board the cable car. Now, something that you will want to keep in mind. It is quite a steep walk down to the cable car to go to the botanical garden, and an even steeper one going up. So if you have any kind of mobility issues or anything like that, you're really going to want to think about whether you want to do this or not, because there doesn't seem to be any kind of assistance or elevator or wheelchair ramp or anything like that as far as that's concerned, getting down to the station that we just left. That is a steep hill with some cobblestones as well as a articulated staircase sort of built into the middle of it. So if you do have issues with mobility, maybe you want to think about not riding on the Madeira cable car. Another thing you want to might take note of if you are going to be riding the cable cars here in Madeira is the cable car that comes from downtown Funchal is a round trip ticket, as is this one. So this one will take you down to the botanical garden and back for about 20 euros. And it's that way for both of them. So just keep that in mind depending on how many people you have. And the entrance fee for this particular cable car includes the botanical garden at the bottom as well. So you can ride down to it, walk around the garden, get your Instagram shots and things like that, and then ride the cable car back up. It is included, but it's best to buy it in advance, especially on days like this where there are a lot of ships in port. There weren't too many people when we went there, but they said later on that it would be quite busy. So it's fairly early right now. It's only about 10 o'clock in the morning. The path of this cable car here in Madeira is far longer and far steeper than it looks from the top. It doesn't appear so when you first get on, but once you actually board this thing, you are traversing a major chasm down here. I mean, this is super deep, super rocky, and also quite long. I'm not sure how far this is in total distance, but it is quite long. I wouldn't want to be up here on a windy day, that's for sure. You guys see that right there? That's a big chicken, because she's afraid of the cable car, which I admit, it's a little spooky up here. We are pretty high, and you're just in this little box, but I don't think there's any reason to be scared. These things rarely fail, and what, maybe once a year? We were lucky enough to at least get a car all to ourselves. This looks like it seats about 8 people per unit, something like that. But there wasn't hardly anybody in the station when we came along, so we were able to basically hop on all by ourselves. If this thing was crowded and it was windy up here, yeah, that'd be quite a journey, I'm sure. So when you finally reach the top of the cable car here at the Botanical Garden, there's a cafe where I'm standing, has a sweeping view of the vista here in Madeira. That's Funchal, the capital, down there at the base, and the port where all of the cruise ships come in. The airport is over on the other side of the hill there. But just a lovely, lovely view of the Atlantic and the city in the distance. You can probably also hear the superhighway buzzing by down here at the bottom into that tunnel there. It's actually quite loud. We're going to take a walk through the gardens here and give you guys the tour. So you have some of the obligatory gift shops here at the top as you make your way down into the Botanical Garden. And I noticed people walking on a path down here below us. So it looks like there's going to be some more hiking to be done here in Madeira as you make your way through the Botanical Garden. So again, those warnings I gave you about mobility, keep them in mind, because this looks like it's quite hilly as well, as is everything here. This place is built on some massive hills kind of rolling up from the ocean. So unless you're in good shape and in the mood to walk, well, maybe then if you're not, stay down in the town and enjoy the sights and sounds of Funchal. As I mentioned in the cable car up there, the flora and fauna here in Madeira is really unusual, really cool. And this botanical garden is the perfect place to get sort of a bird's eye view of just that. And it is a really interesting mix of plant life here. And this place is laid out quite nicely. Again, there are a lot of hills, so be ready to climb up and down them. But the mix of plants here is something to behold. I'm going to swing this around so you can see where I'm going. I don't know why, but I would have counted a pond as the last thing I would have seen up here in the Botanical Garden, but here's one right here. The rocky nature of this place and its elevation, I just didn't expect to see this up here. But there's quite a beautiful little pond right here, just a few steps into the Botanical Garden, which is listed here on the map. I just didn't notice it as we came in. I have made mention in the past of the fact that I don't have a green thumb, neither does Hope. The only thing we do with plants is kill them, even cactus. I've managed to kill cactus myself, so pretty proud of that. But I do have an appreciation for it, and this place is really, really neat. It's so lush and so green, and you know, it's positioned here in the Atlantic Ocean. We're not all that far from Africa. Actually, Morocco is only about, I think about 200 kilometers or so away. So thinking about that, it's hard to believe that something like this exists here, that you have this kind of variety of plants and things like that. I don't know why. I suppose when I think of the north coast of Africa, I think of sort of a desert area. But this island is certainly not that. And I realize that this is a botanical garden, but even on the way in here when we were coming in, the natural areas that were around us were really not much different than the garden here as far as how much greenery there was and how thick it was. There's an entire forest up on the hills here that looks like a large evergreen forest. This area was settled in the 1400s, so quite a while ago. And when it was originally founded, there was a lot of sugar plantations here. It was a huge sugar supplier for big parts of Europe and the known world at the time. Now, after sugar went away and the plantations that supplied it, they turned to making Madeira wine, which has become somewhat famous. In fact, it has one key famous point, is that supposedly Madeira wine was the wine that was drunk by the founding fathers when they signed the Declaration of Independence. So there's that, and quite a view here behind us. Doesn't seem like you can go 20 steps around here without finding one view or another that's more spectacular than the last. So from that standpoint, Madeira is definitely someplace worth viewing or coming to if you want to get good views. One of the cool things about the botanical garden here is I am certain there is some work that is done in maintaining all of this, but a lot of this has the feel that it is allowed just to grow naturally. I mean, there is certainly some cultivation and things like that that have gone on here, obviously, but the feel that they've achieved in making it feel like this is just a natural thing occurring around you is pretty cool, and adds to the effect of the garden itself. It is, I think, definitely worth the 22 euro entrance fee, including the cable car ride, which was a little bit scary, but not too bad. This is certainly one of the main stops that you would want to make. In fact, we've come here before and ridden the toboggan, which is so famous here in Madeira, but I would not hesitate to tell somebody if they were coming here, come to the garden and the cable car instead. It's really a much better experience as far as not just enrichment, but just to get out in nature and take a walk and enjoy yourself. This is a lot better than the toboggan. The toboggan is fun, but you know, it is what it is. It's a sleigh ride down a street through a basically a suburban neighborhood. This is a real experience, and something that all ages could definitely enjoy. Who doesn't enjoy coming out and spending a day in the park, right? So if you are intrepid enough to make your way up to the top and go to the botanical garden, no need to worry if you get hungry. There's a pizza spot up top, a little cafe that has pizza and ice cream with a beautiful view outside, and they're cooking it right now, and I can tell you it smells delicious. I'm not going to eat here. I'm going to wait till eat at the bottom in Funchal, but it definitely smells good. So if you get hungry, don't worry about it. This is the station itself, where you get on the cable cars. Cars come in quite quick, but they slow down to almost a crawl as they open up their doors to allow you to get on. So don't worry about having to rush to get on board. All right, so we're back on board the cable car on our way back to the station, having visited the botanical garden here in Madeira. And it is definitely high on my recommendations. Now, Madeira is generally a cruise stop for transatlantic cruises. It's a lot of their tourist industry is derived from that. And it's probably a good place for a day trip. If you're going to stay here longer than that, I'm not really sure how much there is to do long term, although it is a big vacation destination for people from both Britain and from from Britain and Germany. So I assume that there's possibly beaches on the island somewhere as well. But if you are here on a stopover on a cruise, it is an interesting and beautiful island to see, that's for sure. And I would highly recommend, as I said, maybe skipping the toboggan and coming up to the botanical garden instead, because it is well worth the trip, both for this amazing cable car ride over this chasm beneath us and for the garden itself, which is well curated and very, very lovely, if it is a bit steep and does take a bit out of you as far as exercise, needing to climb up and down those hills. But until next time, I am the Ugly American. Do not forget to like, do not forget to subscribe. That means a lot to us. And if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and put them down below. And we will see you next time from wherever and whenever. Have a nice day.